Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit the subscribe button. There you go, right down there. If you want to be among the first to hear my weekly takes, NFL, college football, more, right there. Here's what's weird to me. I think about this a lot. How would my wife and my daughter and my stepdaughters judge me if I was bothered by 30 seconds of Taylor Swift in a broadcast that lasts 3.5 hours? Here's what I always wonder about men. They can't have strong women in their life. The fact that a man, if I went on the air and I was outraged by Taylor Swift, and I have a really bright daughter and bright stepdaughters and a smart, savvy, outspoken wife. I have a sister who doesn't really follow me, but she'll get stuff on Instagram or TikTok.
That's my sister too. Not that all interested in what I do, but sometimes gets sent to her. Yep.
Always the non-sports stuff.
Yeah.
But I always think about this. If you're a man and you have women in your life that you either love or respect, don't you have the self-awareness to know what an effing idiot and insecure D-bag you look like? Being bothered by 24 seconds of Taylor Swift shots from a box in a 3.5-hour broadcast?
All right, listen. Taylor Swift was shown almost to the second, the same amount of time in the Chiefs-Ravens game as crab cakes were. So anyone pretending like, it was too much, they are projecting their own issues on it. And it is partially, yes, everything. It is hard to shock me these days at the things people will get mad about, but this is shocking.
Yeah.
If there was ever a feel-good story, it's, hey, this guy who I guess people don't like Travis because he did the commercials for Pfizer. This is...
Nick, Shaquille O'Neal, and I know his agent, he's done 600 ads for if you ask, the answer is yes.
The answer is yes. He's doing it for the General. He's doing it
for
Bob Sperger.
He's a tight end. They don't get commercials. He's at the end of his career, and people are going, hey, will you do it for $1.5 million? The answer is yes.
And also, by the way, here's why. All right, I'm going to be very honest here for a minute. I find a lot of some of the people angry about the vaccine stuff to be very intellectually dishonest, because if the stance is, like you have said, don't do mandates, my body, my choice, whatever it is, so be it. But that must then also mean if Travis Kelce's like, man, I love the fucking vaccine, I think it's saved people's lives.
That's right.
And scream from the mountaintops. Good for him. Do whatever you want. But they hate him because of it. They hate Travis Kelce, and Aaron didn't help this situation, calling Mr. Pfizer, whatever. Taylor, shockingly, the vast majority of young pop stars throughout all of American history tends to lean liberal. Now, maybe she won't in her 60s, but there's not a bunch of super popular 20-something-year-old musicians in American history who's like, man, I'm a hardcore conservative. That is not what what the artistic fields typically are. So these two people coming together, and they just hate him. They just hate him. And I think they hate him because they're young, they're happy, they're good looking, they're successful, and they are jealous. Guess what? Everybody's probably a little jealous of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. It's like, well, you got $1.5 billion between you. He's the best ever at this. You might be the best ever at that. Yeah. You do whatever you want. But there's a level of happy for you. Seems awesome. There used to be something of almost aspirational happiness on behalf of others. I feel like when people saw Brady and Giselle, there was an element of, goddamn, man, that's why you practice so hard in high school. You might literally end up marrying a supermodel. And I know that's kind of,
no, I get what you're saying.
School guy stuff, but that is part of it. Is the prom queen and the jock athlete and all that stuff. And I can't conceptualize the
Well, you know what?
people who hate these people. They
Yeah,
they get angry at it, and they're angry because Taylor Swift is shown. Jason Kelsey was shown more in one playoff game than
yeah.
Taylor's been shown in all of them. And I'm not talking about a playoff game he played in, but go ahead.
Well, years ago, one of the really interesting pieces of advice I got years ago, and this I remember where I was. It was Las Vegas, and it was a warm day in the summer. And Don Logan was my boss, and I got hired at the baseball winter meetings. I'm like 22 years old, right out of college, 21, 22. And he had a big sales meeting to go to, and it was a big one with the president. They were trying to get some money from him to buy some billboards and season tickets. And so Don said, "This is a big one. I'm going to do this myself." I was really young out of college, and he said, just here's $20, go play poker. And so I sat next to a guy at the Union Plaza, and he looked like he was Texas. He had just sold radio or TV stations in Texas or Arkansas. And at the time, that he looked rich. He had a really nice watch. He deep tan, white shirt, good looking guy with a lot of hair. This is a guy that lived life. He was about probably 60, probably drank a little too much and had too much damn fun.
I without knowing what this guy looked like, I know exactly what he looked like.
And I don't know why I asked this, but I've done this with older men who I think are successful in over the course of my life. Don't do it anymore, but I did at the time because now I am an older man. But I asked people when I was in my 20s and early 30s. We started talking about stuff, and he told me about his life, and he was playing, and I'm just sitting there trying to twiddling my thumbs. I don't really play poker. And I said, "This is a weird question, but if you could give me, you're a really successful guy, if you could give me one piece of advice, what would it be?" And he said, "Celebrate other people's success, not just your own. To be a much happier person, and they'll remember it." And then the second thing he said, we talked after that. Yeah. He said, now this is Nick, this is 40 years ago, close to it, 35 years ago. I remember the white shirt, the watch. I mean, I remember him. He said, "Go up, do a test." And he says, "Tell somebody you make $1 million a year." Now, at the time, that was like
that's
nobody, except maybe a casino owner. And he said, their reaction will tell you if they will ever make 7 figures. If their reaction is, "No, you don't. No, you," he goes, "they'll never make it." If their reaction is, they lean in. "How'd you do it? Tell me more." He goes, "You're looking at a millionaire." Surround yourself with people that want to be on that journey. And so my point is, the people bothered by Travis Kelce, Giselle, Tom, Taylor Swift, those aren't successful people. They resent success. People that want to be on this journey, and they just love, doesn't matter what you do. You don't have to be rich, but you love the journey. You love other people. You're happy. They're not the ones outraged by this.
So I agree with you to a degree. I think you're right that the people who didn't like Tom and Giselle and now don't like Taylor and Travis, those people resent success. My fear is that there are a different group of people, maybe with some crossover, who were not bothered at all previously by Tom and Giselle, but now have gotten so
political,
tribalist, that if I know affirmatively you are on the other political team as me,
yes, that's true.
I hate you. I actively hate you. And that is, it's like, man, I get it. I don't get the hate, but I understand if you feel someone is constantly preaching their politics, even if you agree with them, you can be like, man, it's a bummer. You know what I mean? I'm not here for it, all of it. But I don't look at Travis doing the commercials as preaching politics at all. Taylor, once every election cycle, I think sends out a link about like registering to vote. And I think she endorsed Obama, I think like 8 years ago. That's it. If that level of, like, I'll give you an example. If I had the opportunity to sit down with Bill Belichick, I'd pay money for it. If I could sit down and like pick his brain, talk to him, whatever it is, he doesn't preach his politics. He's at the very least buddies with Trump. I'm pretty sure, like, I think that's where he aligns politically. I know conservative, and I think he's a Trump guy. Knowing that doesn't make me be like, man, I hope he never gets Shula's record. I hope
Right.
he's unemployed forever. Like, it's
Yeah.
like, okay, we wouldn't talk about those things. And there is just a level of anger toward, and not only anger, but also what I think has to be intentional stupidity